Hello and welcome to our next episode of Creating Through Crisis. I'm Alicia Culp and I'm a leadership and transitions coach. And what better time than right now, with all of the challenges we face, to connect with other leaders for inspiration and to collaborate. So this series started with an exploration of one of my favorite core values, which is creativity. And I found that it shows up on other leaders' lists pretty often. So during this time of uncertainty, I really wanted to highlight how other leaders were adapting and innovating, whether it's in their own business, their own lives, their thought process, definitely a mindset thing. So I recently had the opportunity to reconnect with our next guest. Happened to be during a virtual Trivial Pursuit game, which for those of you who know Trivial Pursuit, know that it's a challenging game even when you're in person. It's a little bit more challenging when you actually try to do it virtually over Zoom. Not so easy. But during that time and sitting with her, I had the opportunity to ask her a little bit about her business. And in talking with her, I heard those things that were new ideas that were starting to brew and formulate. And I also heard some of those phrases that you hear often from other leaders or business owners in the process of innovating and how they just make things happen for their business in any given situation. She is smart, she is funny, and she's tenacious. And she really has a talent for managing a large number of details. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome the Director of Sales and Service and the business owner of YourVision Creative and Event Services. Hi, Carol. Thanks for meeting with me today. I appreciate you being here.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And thanks for, we just settled my dog down. So now we can kind of get down to work and get some serious business done. So let's go ahead and, if you will, explain a little bit, give an overview of what a destination management company does and that background. If you'll share that with us, I think you'll explain it better than I can.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, when I actually started and I learned about a destination management company, I too had never heard of it. So I needed some education as well. At the time I was working at Disney, I was working in their guest services department. And my big background really is knowledge of Orlando and customer service. I really kind of got the experience that I needed there in learning the hotel product, because as a resident in Orlando, I never knew anything about the hotels. So kind of learn the ticket product, the services that they do, the hotels. In a nutshell, a destination management company, we partner with groups that book their meetings or conventions in Orlando, and we kind of handle the fun stuff. Like they'll book their hotel, they'll book their meals, they'll book their meeting content and all that. But when they need help with group services is when they reach out to a destination management company. And where that's to their advantage is we get volume discounts because we work in the city, with groups every week. We know the area, and just hearing more about their meeting, we can kind of plug into whatever services they need. So if they need group transportation from the airport, we'll be there with motor coaches and our staff with their signs and getting them on their coaches with, direct transportation to their hotel versus getting on a shuttle and stopping at 10 different hotels before they get to their destination. And then basically we just kind of, again, plug in where they need us in the realm of their meeting. So if they want to do a welcome night and they want to do a theme party, I'll be the one that kind of comes in and brings in the decor and brings in the entertainment. If they want to do a team building where they get their group together and whether they do something fun or they want to teach the manager something that they're going to bring back to their teams. We do offsite events, whether it be a VIP dinner in a private room, or if they want to do a buyout of Universal Studios. We do tours, we do golf tournaments, we do attraction tickets. I mean, I used to do training in my last company and I was making a list of all the services that we did, and I got up to like 35 and I was still going. And really what that means is, as true partners, we basically handle whatever the client needs us to. I've gotten what the client thinks are really weird requests, and I'll be like, oh, that's nothing, I do that all the time. And they're like, oh, okay. I just had someone recently that someone had asked for kryptonite trophies, and she was like, kryptonite trophies, what the heck? And knowing just trophies, there's an actual kryptonite design for a centerpiece. I think she was thinking it was something special, and it really wasn't. But just because I know all the vendors, I was able to help her with that. But it really is a mix of things. Every day is something different, which is why I love it. I always tell people, I ain't selling copiers. It's fun. I'm selling fun, and it's exciting, and people are excited to come to Orlando typically.
And at the same time, I mean, events, they're like a pressure cooker because there are so many moving pieces and so many details. I mean, anybody who's planned anything, even the smallest thing, knows that there's so many moving pieces and parts. So I'm thinking about the network that you've probably built, and you can remind us of how long you've been in this business and then how long you've had your own business. But I just think of this mental database that you have going through your head all of the time of all the details, and
Yeah.
then all of the different connection points you have, probably not only here in Orlando, but around the country for what you need.
Right.
Is that pretty accurate of what it's like?
It's
And how
amazing. It's amazing that I'm able to sleep with all the details that are going through my head all the time.
yeah, it's constant. So it's how long have you been in this business again? And then how long have you had your own business now?
I've been in the industry for 22 years, which I can't believe it as I'm saying it.
Right.
But yeah, 22 years. And then I started my own company in November of 2017.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm sure it is never a dull moment, right? Like in those 22 years, it's like you've got the base, but there's always something that pops up. Is that has that been your experience?
Always. And I think that's what I kind of like about it. Like I said, it's always something different, but every day I'm learning something. So it's like, you think you kind of know, but really, I think the biggest skill that it gives you is figuring things out. It's like someone can give you an idea and then you're like, okay, how do I make that happen? Who do I know that does this? And then again, like you said, the network. I know so many people that if I don't know how to do it, I can call someone. And if they don't know how to do it, they usually know someone. So it really is about the contacts. And that is the beauty of the DMC is we have these contacts where, yes, people can go on Google and they can try to find things and things like that. I'm not really the best fit for a group like that. And if they just have like a one-off dinner that they want to just go on Google and find a spot, great, I'm all about it. And people sometimes will call me, I'll be like, you really don't need a DMC. You can really do this yourself. And I kind of explain to them how to do it. But you know, these larger groups, they have 500 to 1,000 people. And like you said, there's a ton of moving parts. And you really have to be detail oriented. And it's interesting because one time someone asked me what I did, and I really don't talk about it that much, quite honestly, but when they ask, I tell them and they're like, wow, you must be really smart. And I kind of started laughing when they said that. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm very smart, actually. Said, there's just so many details. And I said, you're right. But I think it's just funny because a lot of it I get from my parents. My mother was super creative, but she was super frugal. And my dad was an accountant. So
there you go.
I have
That's a good match.
Yeah, I've got the creative from her and I've got the bean counting from him. And a lot of people have even said that to me. They're like, wow, you're not like typical salespeople. They usually just kind of come in and give their ideas and then they pass it off to someone else, versus that's my passion is I stay with the program from start to finish. And that is what's a little different about the company when I started it. Well, I actually started my own company when I moved to the beach because I used to live in Orlando and now I live in Cocoa Beach. I got married to a Cocoa Beach local and he was never going to move to Orlando. It's just way too fast moving for that little surfer boy. So I'm like, okay, I will go to the beach then. And when that happened, my boss asked me to be a national sales director, meaning that I was calling on all their clients and just trying to get repeat business because he found that his salespeople were so busy. A lot of them weren't comfortable picking up the phone and asking for new business. And that's all I've ever done. So I agreed to it, but I knew that wasn't going to be my long term. And I actually had a client that approached me because the way my last company was set up, when I worked with them in Orlando, if they were going to San Diego the next year or Vegas or, you know, wherever, I wasn't allowed to work with that client in those locations because again, you're supposed to be the expert of your destination. So I have to pass them off to the people, you know, the company, my franchise in that city. Mm-hmm. The client I'd been working with since 2002, an easy relationship just because I knew what she wanted and she didn't even really have to explain stuff to me. I just kind of got her. She never had a good experience with the other companies, with the other offices. And she reached out to me and she's like, why can't I just work with you no matter where I go? I'm like, as long as I'm working at this company, I cannot do that. And she's like, well, why don't you start your own company and I'll just work with you? And I was like, oh, haha, I just kind of laughed it off. But then when I ended up moving to the beach, I was like, maybe I should do that. And it helped that I had just sold my condo and had some money in the bank. So it gave me a little bit more confidence to do it. And so I just went to my boss and explained to him that I had this client, and she was my client anyway. I brought her with me to the company. It wasn't like she was their client and I was stealing her away, because I would never do that. So I just kind of explained to him that she really wanted me to work with her on all of her stuff. And he's like, I think you'd be great at that. And I was like, thank you, but aren't I breaking my non-compete? Because you have to sign your non-compete that you're not going to do stuff like that. And he's like, I don't see you competing with us. You know, you're not trying to steal our clients. So he gave me his full blessing, which was great. That was a huge reliever for me. But then when I was trying to think of a company name, I thought of a conversation that I had with one of my vendors, and he was basically saying that I was different from a lot of companies and that I didn't try to push what my vision was. I really listened to the client and tried to design a program or a theme built on what their vision was. So it got me thinking, and I was like, oh, YourVision. And then I just kind of was like visualizing the logo, and it kind of just all went from there. And then I started thinking about vision and how that could play into my marketing pieces and how it could play into my presentations, you know, tying in vision terms like price transparency or clear or what, you know, 2020 or anything like that.
I like that. Yes.
It kind of went from there. So.
Yes, that's great. But that's how it starts. It just starts sort of as that little spark. You hear something or you get that little piece of information, and then it won't let you go. You have to keep coming back to it, right? And then be able to build on that. So that's exciting. Tell us right now, because you're in an interesting industry that has been seriously impacted by what's happened with the pandemic. So, you know, we have to be real here. One of the things, like I said in the introduction, is that you've really looked at these other ways to try to reinvent and figure out, looking ahead, knowing that there are going to be events that have to happen, but what are you doing right now to look at being innovative, to sustain the business and continue to grow right now?
Well, one of the first things I thought about doing was being a moderator, because a lot of these people are taking their live meetings to virtual meetings. And that means they're going to have multiple Zooms or whatever platform they're using for their meetings. They might be happening at the same time, very similar to a regular meeting where you have multiple breakout sessions happening at the same time. Typically a breakout session has a moderator. Sometimes they have a speaker. Sometimes it could be very high tech. Sometimes it's just as basic as Q&A or running a PowerPoint or something like that. And it really started with just kind of finding a way to keep myself busy, because I had talked to a couple clients that were struggling to switch their meeting. Specifically, I have a client that's trying to move a meeting in July. So she's switching everything from a live meeting to virtual.
There's so many, again, all of those details that people have had to shift and adjust. It's got to be stressful for them.
Right. And it was just kind of a way for me to try to help clients, and just hearing that they might need help with that. I was like, you know, I can run a Zoom meeting. I can run a Q&A. I can run a PowerPoint or whatever. And, you know, people know me. I'm presentable enough that I'd like to think I am, at least, that I could handle one of their Zoom meetings. And so I put that out there to clients. But then when I started thinking about it, so many hoteliers and so many of my vendor friends right now are not doing anything. I mean, there's no events happening in Orlando we don't even know when the first event's going to happen. So I do have a pool of people. So while I kind of started to think about it just for myself, I was like, well, I could actually help people that have multiple meetings, and I can pull in, you know, some of my hoteliers, again, industry professionals that are used to doing stuff like, you know, used to doing meetings, so they could kind of do the same thing. Then I started to think about my network throughout the country of all the other DMCs of people that I know. Same thing. If I was thinking like New York, maybe someone was supposed to have a meeting in New York, why not have a moderator that lives in New York? They could be standing on the top of the, you know, Empire State Building if they wanted them to, moderating this meeting. You really can make it as creative as you want. And then again, tying in kind of some, you know, because Zoom meetings can be kind of boring. So tying in some entertainment, whether it be a comedian or even a comedic moderator or a virtual team building, or just having some music or an afternoon energizer. I mean, you can kind of like what I do.
It's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's like just tapping into all of your resources and the experience that you have and just moving it to the virtual space, because any company that's putting that kind of an event on, they usually don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I mean, right? It's just a lot of pieces of trying to figure out, and to have somebody who has that knowledge, has the resources, but you also have that attention to detail and can move and manage all of those pieces at once.
Right.
So that's a great idea. I'm interested to kind of, you keep me posted on how that's going, and I will definitely keep an ear out and open for you.
Right.
What about other like I think specialty products was something that you were thinking of, and
Yeah, specialty products, again, a lot of people, when they're doing their specialty products, it might be a gift basket for their speakers or their VIPs, or they have, you know, tchotchkes that they give away at their trade shows, or they do a nightly hotel drop of maybe a logo towel or something Florida related, or even like the trophies that I was just telling you about, the kryptonite trophies. They're still going to have to reward their people. They're still going to have to provide incentives for these people that are busting their butts, and now they're not even able to take their incentive trip. I hope that's not the case for long, but in the meantime, specialty products is something that I do, but I'm just kind of shifting a little bit. Again, offering the trophies, still can do like the nicer gifts if they want to send them to people. But then I'm also offering logoed masks, because we don't know what these meetings are going to look like when they come back. They're probably going to need to be socially distant. Instead of sitting in a ballroom with side-by-side theater style seats, they might be 6 feet apart. They might require them to wear masks. So I kind of was thinking of the idea, because I went into Bank of America and every person there had on a different mask. And I was like, why wouldn't they want to have a more uniform look? So then the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, I can really approach hotels. I can approach, you know, food groups, restaurant groups, things like that. Put your logo on your mask. So you're, you know, you're branding, you're getting your name out there, but then you're also providing, you know, uniformity amongst your employees. And for even a restaurant or a hotel, it's a safety issue to know who works there and who doesn't. When you have someone with, you know, the Hilton logo on their face, you know.
great point. Great point. It's like your name tag. Really, I mean, right now with where we are and knowing, not knowing, and making sure that guests feel safe, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and so I actually made my first sale last week. I have a transportation company, and she does citywide shuttles. So she has like 35 staff that need to be recognizable, not only for safety, but for each other. Because when you're running a shuttle, you have to be hollering down to people and know where people are. So she has bright orange face masks with her logo right on the front of it. So they're very easy to pick out. And so she ordered 100 of them, and they're very affordable. I was, you know, doing a cost comparison on other, you know, and you can put full color graphics on there plus the logo. So I was thinking, I have a hotel in South Florida that I'm talking to, and he wanted to do names, you know, face masks, but he wanted to be a little bit more hip, you know, because they're in Miami. And so I was giving him the suggestion of, you could even customize the graphics that go on the mask. So the people in your spa, you could have kind of a Zen maybe scene for the spa and have a small logo. Or the people that work at the pool bar, maybe have a fun tropical or, you know, drinks or whatever. You know, just different areas of hotels can have different scenes on there. I mean, again, I take an idea and I start, that's why
it starts going.
My best ideas as I'm laying in bed at night, because it just goes and goes and goes. I can't turn it off sometimes. It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
But that's what it's all about. That's when I heard during our game, I heard those things that you were saying that I was like, okay, that's what it takes, right? To keep going. It's reinventing. It's coming up with, it's like kind of like working with what you got. Like, what do I have right now? What can I do with it? And you have these connections and the knowledge and the attention to detail. You know, it's like put it to work. I love the idea of the branded masks for companies. And what I heard was it's not just about safety, right, for the guests, but it's also safety for each other, of knowing who works there, safety for them. So it's keeping the germs away, and then also making sure that everybody knows that you are actually an employee of that company. And with all the other things that these companies have to deal with and worry about, it's nice to know like you are that specialist, that you can come in and really be able to provide that support for them. Like, hey, did you think about, and be able to offer that. And it sounds like that you can kind of scale up or down, like as far as volume, and work with your providers. So it's very, very cool. I love that. So as we're wrapping up, you know, I know that there was an email that is, or in your email, there's a quote that you list that I really liked. And I don't know if that's what you want to leave everybody with, that quote, and how you found that and why that motivates you. If you'll share that with us.
Yeah, when I was getting ready to start the company, it was right around the time that Meghan Markle and Harry were getting together. And I just love her. And she was doing a speech. And in that speech, she said, "Small girls with dreams become women with vision."
That's it.
There you go. And I was like, that's me. I'm a woman with vision. And I just thought it was perfect. And I Googled it to see like who said it. And it's one of those unknown quotes. No one knows who said it. So I have it as my tagline on my emails. And I can't tell you how many women have commented on that.
Yeah.
They love it. They're like, I love your quote, by the way. And that has been something that I have done is kind of, I am drawn towards small women-owned businesses and kind of partnering with them on stuff. So it just seemed like the perfect quote for me. I loved it.
It's great. And it's very inspiring. Very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being with us here today. I look forward to just watching and also maybe collaborating down the road, but watching your path and see how things go. We wish you well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Alicia.
You're welcome. Thanks. Thank you, Carol. And for anyone who's looking for a moderator for a virtual event, or someone to manage the entire virtual event, or hopefully events in person down the road, please contact Carol Reed at yourvisioncreative.com. And if you or your team are currently going through a particular transition and you're looking for ways to play to your strengths during this crisis and really show appreciation and gain more energy and creativity in your problem solving, please reach out and let's have a conversation. Be well, and I'll see you soon.